We are joined by a special guest today, Rocky Laughlin, the head coach of the Louisville Leopards wrestling team. Coach, thank you for joining our wrestling segment and getting a chance to talk about your program.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Coach, let's first and foremost just talk about these qualifiers you guys got in the individuals and just some of the seasons that these boys have been having and what you've seen from them growth-wise over the course of the year.
You know what? We've had a pretty good season. I think that everything is going pretty well for us as far as getting to this point. You know, our goal is always to kind of get to the end here and peak at the right time and have everybody ready to go when we get to the state tournament. So right now I feel like things are going well.
Hey, Coach, I see you have 9 qualifiers, and a couple of years ago you guys were dual team state champs. Is this state championship or bust time for you guys now here at the individual tournament?
I don't know, man. You know, St. Paris Graham's sitting out there, and that's a big task. So this is the most kids that we've sent with 9. So you know, as far as closing that gap on them with the number of qualifiers, I think this is a pretty good opportunity for us to try to catch them. So.
Yeah, definitely a tall task when you got a national team like that in your division. I know that you got that win over them in the state duels, but the individual tournament's a little different. But with the qualifiers you have to be confident right now.
Yeah, and I don't remember what they have off the top of my head. I think they have 11 or 12. So like I said, it's the closest we've been number-wise as far as participants to them since I've been here. So, you know, it gives us an opportunity, and you know, we'll have to go down and compete.
Coach, let's go over your 9 qualifiers and kind of the season that they've had and talk about those kids a little bit. And I want to give you a chance to highlight those boys and the work they've put in this season.
At 106, we have Lacy Harvey. Lacy is a senior at 106, and this is his first trip to the state tournament. So he lost in the first round of districts and then wrestled his way back to 3rd. Actually, the kid that we beat in the blood round was the kid he lost in the first round. So Lacy comes out of 3, and, you know, he's going to have to win a couple big matches to get himself on the podium. At 113, we have Kolten Barker. Kolten is a sophomore, and he's a returning state qualifier. And, you know, I think one of his big goals is to get back to get on the podium this year. It wasn't something he was able to accomplish last year. So I know that's a big deal for him. He's got a pretty good draw. So, you know, he'll have to go down and have a good tournament. 126, we have Dylan Rhodes. Dylan Rhodes is a junior. He was 5th last year at the district at 106. You know, just missing state qualification. So again, this is his first trip, but also somebody I think that can get on the podium for us. At 132, we have Pablo Castro. Pablo is a projected state champ. He was runner-up last year at 132 to Cameron Butler, who's now at the University of Virginia. Lost to him in a ride-out, so it was a real close match, and this is a big trip for him because he'd really like to get that first state title. At 138, we have Dominic Hoffarth, and he is a junior, and he is also projected state champ. So did not have a great district tournament, was 3rd, lost in the quarterfinals. You know, so he's going to have to put together a good tournament if he wants to, you know, if he wants to win his first state title. So at 157, we have Brendan Sievers. He is a returning state place winner. He was 6th last year as a junior. He's a senior. Again, somebody would like to get back on the podium and work his way up there a little bit. So he lost in the semis last year and then ended up being 6th. So at 175, we have Noah Peterson. He's a returning state qualifier. Did not place last year, but did win our district this year. So as far as draws go, his draw is a little better than it was last year. And we're hoping that will help him here down the stretch. 190 is Blake Schaffer. Blake was runner-up in the district to Dylan Fishback, who's the number 1 ranked kid in the country. I guess the positive of that is that we're going to be on the opposite side of Dylan going into the state tournament. So hopefully we'll see a rematch of that in the finals at 190. And then at heavyweight, we have Cameron Brazek, who is a returning state place winner. He was 8th last year. So again, somebody that we would like to see get back on the podium and certainly has a shot at wrestling in the finals for us.
Speak to me character-wise on your team and these 9 boys in particular, and really just highlight the ones leadership qualities that you see within them, and who's kind of running those practices, and who do you kind of turn to student leader-wise for those big meets?
They all do a pretty good job as far as, it's definitely a team effort. I think as far as practice goes, I think we do a pretty good job from top to bottom holding each other accountable. And I think that's something that's expected in our wrestling room. And, I think that's something that they take a lot of pride in and that's important to them. So as far as leading up to this, I got to be honest with you, we didn't have a great semifinals at the district, but of the kids who lost in the semis or in the wrestlebacks, we did not lose a match in the blood round, and we did not lose a match for 3rd and 4th. So that for us was a big deal. And I guess I contribute that to a little bit to our being a team effort. At a couple points, the people at Perry had come to me and asked me to get our kids off of the side of the mat because they were there cheering on their teammates. And I think that was a big thing for us in the wrestlebacks. So.
Coach, looking at your lineup, I see Lacy Harvey. You said he's a first-time qualifier. He's been on your team and kind of he's the kind of kid that seems like he'll do whatever the team needs. I know that I think at some point, maybe last year before, he was even wrestling 120, I think, for you guys. So he's bumped up and down the lineup. You got to feel good for a kid like that to be able to start at his natural weight or his probably desired weight class and be able to get to the state tournament. He's got to be excited. He's
super excited. I got to be honest with you. I've never actually been happier for a wrestler as far as qualifying. He was a sectional champ for us as a freshman. And then the next 2 years sat behind really good kids at 106. He sat behind Dominic Hoffarth as a sophomore, who was a state qualifier, which got canceled because of COVID. And then he sat behind Rhodes last year. And like you said, he wrestled 120 for us last year at the district tournament. I believe he won 2 matches at 120. So, it's a pretty big deal for him. And I think that was one of those things, I guess, in that stretch we had at the districts that really fed our kids. I think they fed off of Lacy a little bit because that was a pretty big deal for him and for our team.
We know this program at Louisville is historic and it's got a winning tradition, but we also know that programs don't get built like that without people behind it. So highlight some of the people that have helped with this wrestling program, the administration, the coaches that work with you, and some people that have really put in the work to make this program what it is.
I guess I'll start with our administration. Since I got to Louisville, they've been really supportive, whether it's Terry Horner, athletic director, or Michelle Schaffer, our superintendent. The answer has always been yes. So whatever they could do to help us get where we needed to be, they've been willing to do. So, my staff has been great for me. We have a great youth staff, and I think that's where most of this starts. Chris McCauley's been running our youth program for as long as I can remember, and also comes in a day of the week and helps with our middle school club. So I guess his hands are part of all of that lies below the middle school. We also have Gil Donahue helping out at our youth level now, which has been a big addition. And I think that those two guys have done a lot for us at the middle school. My dad's our head middle school coach, which has been a blessing for me because I feel like it's somebody that I can trust and rely on to do the things that, I guess, the same things we're doing at the high school. So, and then obviously I have a great high school staff. I think I have 6 high school assistants, a couple who are former head coaches, and then we also have a handful of young guys who come in and get after it every day.
Coach, talk to me about those internal discussions you have with your team too, and battling adversity. For example, when you lose to someone early on in a tournament and have to battle all the way back just to face them again, what are those kind of discussions to kind of even your mindset to, and not let that moment get too big, or not let not let a situation take over too much headspace?
Yeah. Well, we had to deal with that this weekend because Hoffarth 38 definitely didn't think he was going to lose in the quarterfinals. And to be honest, I feel like it was a situation where he kind of overlooked, the guy he was wrestling, and not to take anything away from the young man that he lost to, but we just didn't have a great match. We weren't prepared for it, and I was really proud of him because it was definitely a situation where we had to sit down and have a heart to heart about that not being the end of the road, and that not necessarily meaning anything going into the next week here. So our kids wrestle a lot of big tournaments, and they've had their fair share of losses. And I think that those are just things that as a team that you talk about and you grow from and try to use moving forward.
Coach, going from one coach to another, what do you think it is that has led to your success in Louisville and the program success? Outside of the off-season work that we know that it takes in the hours that you put in, what is it? What keeps your numbers up? What keeps the interest in the program, and what keeps you guys successful year after year?
I guess my answer to that would be youth wrestling. So my situation's a little different because I have 3 young boys, all who wrestle in our youth program. So I go to all of our youth practices. I work in the elementary. And I think that youth wrestling is a giant part of being successful in the long term at the high school level. I think that your numbers at the youth level directly affect that. So, and it's just for us, it's been just finding ways to keep those kids involved, make it fun for them, and keep it interesting. So, but youth wrestling has been a big deal for us. Youth wrestling, and then we run a pretty extensive off-season program. So our kids will come back after the state tournament. They'll take about 2 weeks off, and we will head right back into freestyle and Greco. They'll go through Fargo. They'll take about a month off after Fargo, and then we'll get back into fall wrestling. So, I think it's a combination of those two things. I think youth wrestling is a really big part of it, but I also think that once you get them to that point, that if you want to wrestle at a high level, you have to be willing to do some of the things that other successful programs are doing.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and talk about your kids, talk about your program, help us shine a light on the guys that put in all the work for the Leopards. We thank you again for your time, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.